Welcome to the Resilient AF podcast. I'm Alex Fresh.
And I'm Emelia Jackson. We believe that everything is energy and vibrates at a certain frequency.
And our mission is to help raise the Earth's vibration through stories of resilience, manifestation, and what you can do when you realize even resilience has a toll.
'Cause a bitch is tired, honey.
Good morning. Welcome to the Resilient AF podcast. And I am way too hyped up for how tired I am right now.
Good morning.
Good morning, sunshines.
Okay, so now we're going to do drink of the week. I'm going to pass it to Emelia, and she's going to tell us what she did.
So it is the Big E. That's what we'll call it.
The Big E.
The Big E. It is white grape juice, Sprite, and vodka, and no ice. So it's very hot.
You know what? I don't discriminate.
It's better for your body. Like they say room temperature water is better for your body. It's
For cocktails, it's better with ice.
you know what? You get what you get, Alex.
Let's cheers, yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, well, thanks for bringing that today, Amelia. Thanks for bringing the drink. And like I said, I'm going to save the best for last. So next week, I'm going to bring it with ice.
Oh, I love that for you.
Ice, baby.
And cups.
And mugs and copper mugs. I could do a lavender lemonade mule.
Put some ginger beer in there. Yeah, or some 7-Up.
Yeah.
It'll make our tummies feel good.
Ginger beer. Okay, so now we're going to do our peak and our pit for the week. We're going to start with Bennett.
Last weekend, one of my friends hosted like a little cookout over at one of those parks on Lake Washington. So we were by the water and it was like super, super lit. We had a great time. But you know when maybe everyone's having a little too much fun? Things start going from like fun, chaotic to like a hot mess.
Yes, we need to go home.
So yeah, it definitely went from like 10 to 100 to like 0. And then two of my friends started fighting, which turned my peak into a pit.
Oh, no.
Yeah, let's just say everybody had way too much tequila and I dropped their asses off and went straight home. So yeah, peak was the beach party, pit was the end of the party.
Okay, so my pit this week was we went to a bar. It was definitely not my scene, not my typical scene, but you know what? I was going there for my friends because I love them. There was these guys there that have beef with my girlfriend. And one of them, she went to barber school with. He had heard about how my past partner had treated us and what he's done. And he was like, oh, I'm gonna fight him, blah, 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 you know. Anyway, then he ends up getting a service from this person.
That's weird.
Weird behavior. Anyway, so they were at the bar and he came to try and talk to my girlfriend, and my girlfriend literally put her hand in his face and was like, nah. And like he walked away, right? He was so embarrassed. Rightfully so. One of his friends had seen that my girlfriend was going to the bathroom and he kept trying to get into the bathroom stall. And I was like, no, there's someone in there. It's taken. And he was like, I see that, sweetie, but I'm going to try. And then I was like, someone's in the bathroom. And I said that 4 times. And he was just getting snotty with me. My girlfriend comes out. It was no big deal. Then the guy kept staring after he got out of the bathroom. And I was doing a staring contest with him. I fucking won because that bitch looked away, okay? And so I was like, all right, game on. I don't like you. Bar closes. And as I'm walking past, he goes, have a good night, like a little bitch, okay? And that just pissed me off. And I was like, you're a fucking pervert. Everybody started listening. And I was about to fight this guy because he really dead ass did not think he did anything. And I was like, you had beef with us all night. You were staring at us. You were making us uncomfortable. You were being a fucking weirdo. Anyway, that was my pit. It was just ghetto.
Oh, God.
My peak for this week was, so my girlfriend had texted me and she was like, hey, there's a girl that I'm tattooing that says she went to high school with you. So I, being nosy, run over to her studio and I was like, who is it? And she was like, I think it was. And I was like, she's short? And then she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's her. As soon as I tried to get out of there, walks in and she goes, hi, how are you? And I was like, oh, I'm so good. You know, the small talk. Anyway, I leave and then I come back in there later when I'm done with my day and like, I just want to like ask you, was I mean to you? And I was like, yeah, a little bit. Like you were definitely. And she was like, I'm dead ass. I was thinking about this on the way here, that I was getting tattooed by Amelia's girlfriend. And I think I was mean to her. I don't know. And I was like, yeah, you definitely were mean to me. You were an asshole. And she was like how mean? And I was like, well, you weren't the top bully, but you definitely were like around those girls, like kind of a follower. And she was like, yeah, I was definitely a follower. Those girls were horrible to you. And then she apologized. And I was like, I love that. It made me feel so good because I used to like eat in the bathroom. That's how bad it was. Yeah, it was really bad. Like I was bullied so fucking bad. So for her to apologize to me, that was so nice.
Wow.
So Alex, I have a theory, a conspiracy theory for you.
Okay, give it to me.
I have a theory that when you're hot in high school and you're a bitch, like you get ugly afterwards, right? Well, my bully that just got tattooed, she's still hot after high school. So I think she's actually a changed person. And like for me, if you're mean in high school, you get ugly afterwards. And then when you're nice in high school, you either stay just as hot or get hotter. Like you have a glow up.
That's a good theory. It kind of makes sense.
You know what they say, that hatred makes you ugly.
God don't like ugly.
On to my peak and pit. I'm going to start with my peak. Went to Scottsdale this past weekend and it was lit. It was so fun. It was warm. It was exactly what my soul needed and then some. Okay, so I'm just going to say it as my pit because like I'm the worst flirt, even though like I'm super like boy and girl crazy. Like I'm the worst flirt. And if I like somebody, like I'm just so awkward, I'll leave because I don't know how to act. So I'm going through Starbucks drive-through. And so I've never been to the Starbucks. And when I pull up, I see there's like several cars in front of me and it's packed, right? And then there's these 4 guys standing outside of the front door. And me and my friend who I'm with, I'm like looking at them and I look at her and I'm like, they're cute. And she's like, they're very cute. And she's just staring out the window at them and they're staring back, like will not look away, talking to each other, like looking at each other, laughing, talking, smiling. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, should I roll down the window or like what? Like they're just staring in here. They will not look away. They keep talking. And so they weren't like trying to get our attention though. They were just staring in the car and laughing, looking at each other. I rolled the window down. I'm like, are you guys just gonna stare or what? Like that was me trying to flirt.
Oh, that was you flirting?
Stop
I
it.
thought you were being sassy.
Screen up. Are you gonna say something instead of staring at us?
You have a staring problem?
But this is where it becomes my pit, right? Because I'm like, they are cute, like all 4, which is rare.
That wasn't your pit?
No, the response is the pit for me because I'm trying to flirt, right? And I goddamn rolled my window down and said, well, you're just gonna stare? They said, no, we're just laughing because we're just talking about how you just cut all those people off. And I look over and there's about 10 people in the Starbucks drive-through line that are just giving a little pathway for cars to go through that I just cut off.
Not the whole line.
So when I looked over and saw that, I looked back at them and my mouth just dropped and they all started dying. But I ended up paying for their coffee and it was $20. So go me, because I got coffee sooner and they got free coffee.
For 10 people?
No, just for the car behind me.
Oh, I was going to say big baller.
No.
That would have been a lot.
But like they were super patient, like nobody honked.
It's Arizona.
If I was in line for coffee and someone pulled in front of me and I was waiting, I'd be like, excuse me, person, I would definitely make them.
If they didn't say anything, if they ain't gonna fight for the spot, it ain't theirs anyway.
Exactly. They didn't really want it that bad. They didn't want that coffee.
Great story though, right?
You should just be lesbian. I feel like you'd be better at that.
You think so? It would probably be the same problem.
It can't get any worse.
Now it's that time for Bennett's resilient story. I've done it. Emelia's done it. Now Bennett's going to be telling his story about resilience. And starting next week, we're going to have guests on every week at this time. So we have the first month of guests lined up. And thank you so much for like everybody who has already written in. We appreciate you so much. And we're getting to everybody. So Bennett.
I am ready, I think. I feel like I was resilient before I even knew what that meant and what that would be. I was born into a different situation. My mother, she has a rare neurologic disorder. So when I was born, she was already very sick. So my father, he was the primary caregiver and he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. So I grew up in foster care. The first time I went into foster care, I don't even remember because I was like less than a year old. So that was the first time, I don't remember that, but I do know from like files and records that, I moved around a lot. When I was about 5, my dad, he regained custody. He did all of the things that he was supposed to do with the state. I think I stayed with him for about a year and a half and went back into foster care, not even a year after that.
Because he just slipped off again?
He didn't do what he was supposed to do, okay? And when I say that, he was, with my mom being sick, he was a single parent. My mom couldn't really care for me. And, he did have his challenges, but he also didn't step up to the plate, There's been plenty of instances when I think back where, he didn't do what he had to do. For example, The third time I went into foster care. So this is after he regained custody. After that second time.
The second time, how old were you?
I was about 8. And for example, we took a trip down to New York City. You know, I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, so I spent a lot of time in New York. And my father, he had family from Africa that lived in New York. So we spent a lot of time in New York. And one time, now my mom, the whole time, she has this disease. So she's very ill.
So it's not like she didn't want to help. She physically could not.
She physically could not. And my dad, he brought like some girl with him. It wasn't my mom. Clearly. He also had a girlfriend at the time. So this was just some jump off that he was like going down to New York in.
In front of you?
This was in front of me. Yeah. So we all rode down there and we ended up getting a hotel. I was in the room with the lady and my dad never came back.
Left you with this person?
Yes.
This stranger?
In New York City.
Wait.
And this was the final time I went into foster care. So
How did you get to did she call somebody?
So basically we stayed at this nice ass hotel in Times Square for a long time, for a week. And they're like, yo, you can't stay here. So this woman that I was with, she's like, all right, well, I'm going to bring you home to Rhode Island. You could stay with me or I could bring you to your dad's girlfriend's house. I was more familiar with the girlfriend, my dad's girlfriend, not this woman that I just went to New York City with. So obviously I'm like, I don't want to stay with you. I don't know you. I've been in this hotel with you for a week. I want to go home. I want to get to something familiar. And she was like, okay, I'm going to call to me. I called her my stepmom. That was really my dad's other girlfriend. So here's girlfriend number 3 calling girlfriend number 2. Or not calling, meeting face to face when she dropped me off.
Oh, didn't even give her a warning.
Didn't drop me off and they had the conversation. And my dad's girlfriend was like, well, you know what? Since he wants to do this, I'm going to call DCYF. And I was put into foster care for the third time.
See, that's fucked up.
Wait, so were you close with girlfriend number 2?
I was closer because,
I mean, that's
she was
familiar.
around. She was around.
And she didn't want to care for you?
No, she was being petty and she
was
called
being
DCYF.
evil. Yeah.
And
Did she have kids?
She had kids of her own too.
Oh, hell no. Were these like similar age?
Similar age.
That just tells you about that type of person. Like she was strictly doing that out of being petty. It had nothing to do with you, which was probably really hard for you as a child to understand that you were probably like, well, what's wrong with me? Why don't you want to keep me? You have these other babies. Why don't you want to keep me?
Absolutely.
But you have to understand now as an adult, like that was just her being petty. She was angry at your father, not at you.
Absolutely. And after I went into foster care that last time, I went to a few more homes and then I moved to my final home with the family that adopted me.
Oh.
At what age?
And this was when I was 9.
Okay.
So
Where did you live? When they adopted you?
This was in Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay.
But I lived everywhere in Rhode Island because birth to age 9, I was moved from home to home to home. Like I really didn't know what, stability was. I was in over 24 foster homes.
Oh my God.
4th grade, I remember clearly going to 6 different elementary schools. So that was like the normal for me. And going back to what you said, the first time I went into foster care, I don't remember. I was a baby.
Yeah.
The second time I went into foster care, I definitely had those feelings like, why doesn't my father want me? Why are we going through this again? You know, and why don't these foster homes want me? Because the way that the system is they place you somewhere for like a week or 2 and then they pick you up and bring you to the next place.
Why?
School. I have no idea. You would think that they want to
And have consistency.
but there was no consistency. At all.
I feel like in their heads, and I'm not taking their sides, obviously, but like maybe they're thinking like, oh, then the kid can't get attached to this certain family.
But there
and
are some
keeping them-
long-term foster care.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
It's just, it doesn't create stability, which is what you guys need. I feel like every child needs that, but especially kids that are going through something like that.
Sad. The state doesn't care about that.
No,
At
they
all.
don't give a shit.
So sad.
It's a business,
Yeah.
So, the second time I went to foster care, I had a lot of misunderstanding. I didn't understand what was going on. Why am I moving around a lot? Why are things changing? By the third time I went to foster care, I was a pro. By that point, I loved being the new kid. I enjoyed moving from house to house, being with different families.
That was your normal.
The normal for me.
That was your normal.
I remember living in the fucking projects one week, going to the same school, but then the next week being with a wealthy family in like a huge house.
Damn.
So these changes became normal for me. Eventually I was adopted by my family,
Did you ever do anything as a child to like cope with that? Like, did you have like a special blankie that you always kept with you? Or did you have like, did you do anything?
I don't know. I think like education might be what pulled me through. I do know that when I was like in 8th grade, I was like voted smartest and like smartest, most likely to succeed. And
That's like not typical.
That's
They
resilient.
usually have, I don't know, at least in the people that I've met that have been in and out of foster care and stuff like that, they had a really like rough time. They were like really naughty, I guess you could say, like bad, you know what I mean? And like, that's how they coped with it. But the fact that like you were really into education and like you used that to pull through is very
And from what I
different.
know about Bennett, because I've known him for a long time now, Bennett and I have just connected since day one. But he's just through and through a honest, trustworthy, hardworking, amazing human being. For real. Like he
Thank
works
you so
hard
much.
and he is like he always shows up and he's dedicated and you can rely on Bennett.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think that like the education, school might have been the only thing that was consistent for me. So
Because it was consistent. You always went to school, no matter what household you were in, no matter what city you were in, you were always going to school. That was what stayed the same for you. And so that's probably what you put all of your hope and trust in, is that school was going to be always there for you.
and I'll say this, that like, you know, my father, he didn't do what he was supposed to do. He left, like that's just one
When
story.
you say that, do you mean like feeding, bathing, like
I mean, he left
do you
me
mean?
everywhere. He would like disappear. So like I've been left at the skating ring. I've been the kid at the
Abandoned,
skating ring
neglected.
where like the people at the skating ring have to call. And one time my dad dropped me off to visit my brother in New York, my mom's son, my biological mom's son.
Okay.
And he never came back. He left me there all summer. So like that was like the normal. So when I say that my father wasn't doing what he was supposed to, he wasn't watching me. He would definitely abandon me. But I'll say this, that man, like he was so big on education, you know, like he was so big on education and working hard that like I feel like that's what stuck. You know, that's something that I was familiar with. So that followed through.
And your father recently passed.
Yes. I'll say that like from that situation, I learned resilience before I even knew what it meant. You know, with that resilience that I had no choice but to learn as like a child, it follows me through with everything that I do. Alex, I really appreciate those words. You know, they followed me like with my relationships, they follow me through when I'm at work. And like you did say, like I lost my father. And then 3 days later, I was let go from my dream job.
oh, this just happened
This
recently.
all happened recently, you know, and it's definitely stuff that I'm still dealing with. But because I was dealt the cards that I was dealt at such an early age, I know that like things aren't perfect and things aren't always going to be perfect. And life is getting over obstacles. And whether you decide to, you know, overcome them and, you know, keep on going, or if you bow down to these obstacles, like that's your choice. But for me, you got to stay resilient. You got to push through because that's why those obstacles are there. So you could become who you are. Now, you know, I'm here being resilient as fuck on
Love
the
it.
podcast. And, you know, I'm in this space and I chose a career field that I do because I know I've been through a lot of shit. And, you know, I want to show people that you could shine through and you could work through. And who knows, like I wouldn't be here being resilient as fuck if I didn't go through that when I was a child. So
And thank you for using your voice and, you know, telling us your story, because like I said, these stories are going to hit people, and, you know, people who feel alone, who feel like they've gone through things that people don't understand. But Bennett, your voice is huge. And again, thank you for telling us your story.
thank you so much.
And
I
you
appreciate
never
it.
know like who's listening to kind of piggyback off of what you just said, Alex. Like you never know who's listening. Like there might be a teenager maybe listening right now and they are going through the same stuff you went through, and maybe they feel alone right now. And like if you can even just reach one person and make them understand that they're not alone and that their story can be heard, like I think that is so inspiring. That's so fucking cool.
Absolutely. Like for anyone going through anything, like the reason why people go through tough shit and why tough shit happens to good people is because they have to evolve and become who they're going to be. So, you know, if you're going through any situation right now, it might be tough, but you got to work through that because on the other end, you're going to be so much greater, so much bigger, and you don't know who you're going to be able to help, you know, moving forward. So
Yeah.
Yep. The grass is not greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it.
Yep.
So water your
exactly.
grass and keep it moving.
Absolutely.
So, okay, that was an excellent story of resilience. All right, so now we're moving on to the conspiracy time. And what I decided to do with this time is I'm going to name it something different every week, like I said, but I'm going to name it what it has to do with what I'm going to talk about. So it's called Conspiracy in Colorado.
Oh.
And Bennett probably knows what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah.
It's the DIA.
DIA.
You still don't know what I'm talking about?
Dissociative
No.
inspiration asshole. I have no idea.
The Denver International Airport.
Oh.
Have you heard of this conspiracy, Amelia?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
This
well,
is
here we
new.
go.
Hey.
Ba-dun-dun-dun-dun. That's new. Okay, so what happened at the Denver International Airport? Well, first of all, they didn't even need to even create a new airport because I had a perfectly fine airport that was working well before. But then they decided to go and spend $2 billion.
Drugs.
Drugs. Yeah. Oh, she was so serious about it too. They dug so extremely deep into the ground, it doesn't make sense. And then they never finished the project because they were over budget. There are underground tunnels that lead to nowhere, massive. And they say that it was for luggage transportation, but it's not being used for luggage transportation.
Children.
It's for the elites.
Oh.
Yeah, you're on the right track now.
You are.
Whoa.
So they say it's possibly for the elites, for like a bunker or Illuminati, things like that. So not only that though, that's underground, right?
Yeah.
And there is things underground that are not being used and that are being used, and nobody can go down there unless you're part of that weird circle. But in the airport is very weird things as well. There's like these murals and these paintings of extremely weird and like, I don't even know how to describe it. They're like pictures of kids in really scary situations.
Like war.
Yeah,
War, end of the world, famine, death.
Because they drink kids' blood
Yeah.
when they're scared.
adrenochrome.
Yeah.
And then there's like gargoyles statues inside the airport.
hell no.
Not only that, but I was like down this huge rabbit hole about what I'm about to tell you, Bluecifer. So it's like this huge fiberglass statue of a horse, and it has glowing red eyes. But the weird thing about it is though, the weird thing is it killed the person who was making it.
What? This is fucking terrifying.
That's literally in front of their airport. Last time I was there, they were still doing construction.
They troll with their
what?
construction signs. It says like making fun of the conspiracy theories.
Let's go around the table and ask what you think they're using it for.
All right, Bennett, you start
First, okay, so it's for the elite, aka the Illuminati, but I think it's either a bunker
Okay.
or a way to move product, aka children.
I'm on the same wavelength as Bennett.
I think it's children for sure. 10 out of 10, especially when you said what did you say? Like the secret
tunnels.
passageways? Yeah, the tunnels, because a lot of hotels, that's happening in hotels right now. People are finding secret tunnels like in the closets and things like that. And
I saw that.
yeah, and that's a perfect place to steal children because people are on vacation. People are like, you know what I mean? Like they're in vacation mode. Their guards are down. So like that for sure, especially at airports.
My guard's up at an airport. I don't know about you.
My guard is up, but sometimes there are parents, and I've seen it when I'm on vacation, like
Right.
Las Vegas. There was these freaking 2-year-olds running around,
Yeah.
and like their parents aren't watching them. You know what I mean? So like if you, especially at an airport too, you got to think about it. Look at Home Alone. What happened? Kevin got left.
That was a good analogy.
But you know what I mean? Like when you're at an airport, and that's maybe why that airport is so fucking big, is because what they do is they take the children, they get lost, right? Quote unquote. They get lost at that airport, and then they take them to the construction airport and send them in the tunnels, and then they're off. They're gone.
I don't think they're stealing kids from the actual airport. I think it's just a bunker from kids that they steal from other places. Because like,
Test it.
how many kids can they really steal from the airport without it being like, okay, then Denver airport just goes kids missing when they
All
get in
the
the airport,
time,
you know?
you know?
So it's like a bunker for them.
Shit, you never
Like, I mean, the Hawaii thing, Bennett, was a very great example.
Right.
There's like a lot of kids missing.
Well, there's kids missing. Yes. Yeah. How many you said last time?
There was like over 1,000,
Thousands.
but that's adults too.
Okay.
So yeah, the DIA, next time you guys go to the DIA, just look around and look how, cause like, you know, when you're in vacay mode too, you're not looking around at the airport, but if you ever go to DIA, it's freaking weird.
Had a layover, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna find all the Illuminati stuff there. The airport's literally so big, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything. I seen Bluecifer for sure. I tried to find all of like the murals, could not find them anywhere. Couldn't
Maybe they
find the
covered-
gargoyles, couldn't find anything. Could not find it. It was probably because I was high. Next time you're there.
Were you not paranoid being high at that creepy ass airport.
Now I'm going to look at how big this airport is because that doesn't make sense. It's not, you don't need that big of an airport. There's also 2 secret runways. There's 2 secret runways. And you know what? I don't know that for sure. I just heard somebody say it. But I'm like, I also didn't follow to see what the secret runways were for and why. But I heard that. So I'm like, now I'm going to go and find out.
Maybe to take those children to Epstein Island.
That's a very good theory.
Absolutely.
But I'm like, how is it a secret runway? How is it secret when it's a runway? Okay. All right. So yeah, the secret runway. So anyway, check it out if you go to DIA. And there's this week's conspiracy in Colorado. And that is the podcast for this week. So thank you for listening. Next week, I'm bringing it with my drink of the week, and I know you guys are going to love it. We're going to have our first guest on our podcast, and we're going to do a word of the week. And then obviously, we're going to wrap it up with another conspiracy theory by moi.
Thank God the world didn't end, by the way.
Right, on the 23rd of September. Like I said, it wasn't going to.
You know what, though? A lot of weird shit happened yesterday,
Stop it. It wasn't yesterday. It was on the 23rd.
Oh, just kidding. On the 23rd.
Why? What happened?
Well, I almost like that guy, that issue.
Mercury is in its shadow period, which means 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. Mercury in retrograde is like actually even worse than it is during.
Yikes.
Sorry to burst that bubble. And then you can also follow us on Instagram at ResilientAF3. You can follow me individually. I'm at ThatDreas.
I'm at Emelia Jackson 94.
And I'm at BennettKnows.
All right. Have a good week, y'all.
Bye.